WVTC Radio Detroit. You can find us on Facebook, YouTube, X, and our website, www.wvtcdetroit.com, or download our WVTC app from the Play Store for Android users and the App Store for iPhone users. Thank you for tuning to WVTC Radio Detroit and the Community Bell Show with your host, former Wayne County Commissioner Edna Bell. Stay tuned for insightful information Detroiters will find valuable. Text a friend and tell them to watch with you for news you can use. And now, your host, Edna Bell.
Hello, everyone. It's Monday, 4 o'clock. Must be the Community Bell Show. Welcome to this wonderful, sunny, beautiful Monday in the metropolitan Detroit area. We're glad to have you with us. It's a great day. It's a great day. Now, before we bring our guests on, I have two things I want to talk about. One is this crazy notion that I hear some people talk about to have the president step down. Clearly, I'm not in favor of that. And clearly, those people that are talking about that don't understand democratic politics and what that means. It isn't just step down and somebody else step up. That's not how this goes. The convention is in August in Chicago. We've had primaries all across the country. Joseph Biden has won all those primaries. in order to be on the slate as the president, you must collect delegates. You must collect delegates. And so whoever, even if you wanted to do it, you don't have enough time to do it. So let's forget that notion. Let's forget that notion. I don't hear anybody asking the person who has been convicted of 34 felonies and sexual assault and illegally charging people for coming to his university, and also not or being charged with racial discrimination in his housing projects. Nobody's asking this person to step down. So somebody help me understand why we have somebody who is the president, who has done nothing wrong, who has run this country extremely well. I would take a Joe Biden in a wheelchair before I take a Donald Trump, um, as he is with all of his frailties and all the things that he has done. So that's just me. Now, second thing, we just recently had 19 people get shot, one get killed. Part of that is a result of our wonderful Supreme Court that just said the device that allows you to shoot that many people at one time is okay. That is just okay. Well, it isn't okay. Clearly, the people who shot those people should be charged, but they wouldn't have been able to do that had they not had the device that the Supreme Court said was okay. They wouldn't have been able to shoot that many people. So those are the two things I wanted to share with you before we go to our guest today. Strange things going on, just really, really strange things going on. So unfortunate, so unfortunate. But we're blessed, still blessed. God is still in the blessing business. He's still taking care of us. And so I thank him for all of those blessings. I do thank him for all of those blessings. My grandson, Grant, as you all of you know now, is leaving tomorrow for orientation at Florida A&M. So he'll be in Tallahassee, Florida for the next week down there with orientation uh, to begin his college career. And I'm just really, really proud of him and all his buddies. And I'm going to show you a picture at some point in time of his open house and all these young Black men who are friends of his and acquaintances who were at the open house, who are all on their way to college. So I want you to know that God is blessing some young people, and God is blessing us with the favor of these young people. And so we want to continue to pray for them as they go off and to start their lives on college. Can keep them in prayer as they leave us, the nurturing of our homes and families. But proud of all those young men, very, very proud of them. Now, for our guest for today, I have someone you all know because it is what? Second Monday of the month. And what is second Monday of the month? Real Estate Monday. Ken Scott, are you there?
I am. How are you?
I'm great. How are you this day?
I am doing great.
Good, good. Well, we're glad to have you on Real Estate Monday. The second Monday of every month is Real Estate Monday, and Ken Scott comes to bring us all of the good news that goes on in the world of real estate around this area and all the good programs that are going on. And he has some other information for us about a question we've been asking for a while.
Oh,
and I
Lord.
think we've got the answer. Don't start rubbing your forehead now. So I know you've got the answer because you asked, and we're going to receive it. Ken, welcome. How are you today?
I am doing great. I am doing great. It's glad to be here. This has been a great day. People need to look at the sunshine and just say
thank you, Lord.
Thank you, Lord.
Yes.
Thank you, Lord, because it has been cloudy. It's been raining. It's been all of that. It's been hot, but at the same time, we're here.
Yes, we are.
And we can make a difference.
Absolutely. And I had a chance to play 18 holes of golf this morning. So I'm a happy camper.
I know you're ecstatic.
I'm just a happy camper.
I know you're ecstatic. Yeah. Okay. No, but it is a great day. I can't remember a day where I've had so many blessings in one day.
Uh-oh. Yeah. Listen to you. Uh-oh. Can you share any of those blessings with us?
I'm going to share them with the public in the next couple of weeks.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Oh, now, why would you do that to us? Why
Well,
would you tell us
you,
got all
you
these
have to have that cliffhanger. You
all
know
these
that.
and then leave us hanging like that,
Yeah,
Keith?
you have to have that cliffhanger.
Wow.
Yeah, but
Wow.
no, everything's great.
Well, what's going on in the world of real estate? Interest rates coming down?
No, they're actually stabilized, but at the same time, they're not going down so much
At
as
least they're not going
the
up.
down pay. They're not going up,
That's a good
but
thing.
the down payment assistance has been announced, and what we want to do today is talk about that down payment assistance because it could affect so many lives in the city of Detroit. Some that never even conceived of being a homeowner. This down payment assistance can allow them to reach that goal.
That is wonderful. Now, is that just for first-time home buyers or is it for anybody?
That's for first-time home buyers. But see, this is the difference. The City of Detroit's program is $25,000 grant specifically for first-time home buyers. But at
Okay.
the same time, there is other down payment assistance programs that are grants as well as loans that can allow you to buy a home for the second time. So you have to be aware of those and not be discouraged by just saying first-time home buyers. We want owners, period,
Mm-hmm.
whether they're the first time or the second time or the
Okay.
third time or whatever.
Wonderful. Because that was the question I was asked. And I said, well, Ken will know.
Yeah.
So if you're a first-time home buyer, you've got $25,000 coming if you're in Detroit.
You're first and foremost, you have to take a HUD certified housing counseling class. You
Okay.
have to be approved by a mortgage lender.
Okay.
You have to reside within the city of Detroit for a year or more.
Makes sense. That's fair.
Okay, because this is a city of Detroit program.
That's
So
right.
you have to be
And
cognizant
so
of that.
often, people move into the city who have not lived in the city, who have not paid taxes in the city, who have not done anything to support the city, and then want to get all the benefits of living in the city.
Absolutely, absolutely. And the criteria is a little different now because now you have to present your driver's license, your utility bills, your rent, whatever the case
Good.
may be over the last few years to document that
Good.
because everything requires a paper trail.
Mm-hmm.
If you haven't established a paper trail doing your taxes over the last 2 years, your bank statements, your pay stubs, had a checking account or a savings account. I spoke to a gentleman the other day and I said, listen, you have to pay your taxes and everything, or at least be having the W-2 or the 1099 or whatever the case may be, and establish a checking or a savings account. And he said, why? I'm like, why? Because you're not in control. This is a system that
You don't exist if you don't have those. I hate to say it that way.
Well, but see, a lot of our people are unbanked and what have you, and that needs to change.
Mm-hmm.
Not only that, even with the non-traditional credit, such as having a paper trail for your rent payments, your utility payments, your car payments, your insurance, your cell phone bill, your cable bill, you have to show some kind of paper trail.
Yeah.
And if you don't have that and what have you, whether you have credit or not, it doesn't mean anything. And if you haven't paid your bills on time for the last 12 to 24 months, you really put yourself in a precarious position.
Yep.
Yeah. So we have to fall in line. Okay.
Okay. That's the way to put it. Fall in line.
For those individuals that want something more, you have to present something more.
Exactly.
You have to document it. And not have just money under the mattress or in the closet or in the doghouse or whatever the case may be. You have to present it.
Yeah.
So that's the requirements of you getting pre-approved.
A lot of people think that just because I've got the money, I'm okay, but that isn't the case.
Yeah, I mean, if you're on the run, that's good.
You need some cash on the run, but otherwise, you better
So
show that you got
yeah,
something in a bank someplace or on a credit card somewhere or
absolutely,
something.
absolutely,
Or you pay somebody some rent, or you pay
absolutely.
somebody a car note for that car you're driving.
Very much so. And not only that, those people that use Cash App, Chime, um, all the other Zelle, whatever the case may be, print off your statements.
Hmm.
That's a means to document the paper trail that we're looking for, or the
Exactly.
mortgage lenders are looking for.
Hmm.
Because I told my clients, I said, listen, I want you to start putting all this paperwork in one email so you can definitely verify that it's in that email. So when you go to get pre-approved, you can
Hmm.
send that directly to the lender and state that, as well as with your driver's license and what have you. But at the same time, do not send it to me.
I
Plus,
like
and I'm
it.
telling you, I got enough paperwork to last a lifetime. I don't want to see no more paperwork. I don't want to see nobody's account number. I don't want to see nothing.
None of that.
Okay.
None of that.
Send put that in your email. Make sure that all documents are within that email, and then email it to yourself, and just verify. Go down item by item and check it off, and say, "Hey, I have all the information that is required of me in order to me for me to get pre-approved."
Great. Okay, now I know you done this before and you do it often, but go through for someone who is looking to buy their first home. Go through the steps they should be taking to get to that buying that first home.
All right. First and foremost, you start collecting those documents that I just stated. The W-2s on the W-2s or the 1099s for the last 2 years. Those bank statements and pay stubs for the last 2 months. Some lenders may require more, some may require less. But at the same time, also document there used to, well, there still is a verification of rent, meaning that you have to verify that during that last year you were renting at a certain establishment, whether it be mom's house, your dad's house, your cousin's house,
You paid rent
however
to
you wanted
somebody.
to do it, or you doing it from a landlord or a property management company. Verify where your rent is, and also as it relates to the job.
Now wait a minute.
Okay.
And that's a good point because now if someone was staying with mom or dad
Hmm.
and they were paying mom or dad or weren't paying mom or dad money because mom and dad would say, well, you keep that money and save it for your down payment. How
There,
come
there has to be a
mom or
letter.
dad needs to say, okay, here's a receipt for that money you would have paid me. I'm just
No,
saying.
you don't want to go there.
I'm just saying, but what
Now,
happened? They
what you
do.
basically want to have is a letter stating that during the year time you've lived at this residence at the excuse me, you've lived at this residence for the time that is applying, whether it be a year or 2 years or whatever the case may be, and you've lived with someone. You may have paid some money down on the rent, you may have paid the utilities, whatever the case may be. But the most important letter is from that person that owns the home,
Hmm.
that you've lived with them during that time, and they verified it.
Okay.
They don't have to verify an amount, they just have to verify that you live there. Now if you paid something on it, that's even better. But
Okay.
at the same time, the crazy thing about that situation is, don't get trapped by saying that I paid a certain amount, and they look at your pay stubs and
And they didn't
bank
see it
statements
coming
and
out.
everything, and nothing came out of
Uh-huh. Well, I paid cash.
it. Okay, you paid cash and everything. Yeah, okay, let's verify that somehow, some way. Okay, no, but the
But I think
opportunities are
that's an
great.
important point because I think people do that.
Yeah, they do.
And they
They
need
do.
to know that that's not the way you handle it.
And you know what? For a long time, banks weren't even considering this
Hmm.
because they didn't think that was possible, because in other communities they didn't do that.
Hmm.
We're different.
Yeah.
Okay, embrace it. We're different.
Yeah.
I mean, we have an underground economy like nobody's business.
Absolutely.
But at the same time, if you want a better life, you have to document it.
Hmm.
And by documenting and what have you, you also have the opportunity to move over and beyond your present circumstances.
Okay.
So you have to think about those things. The
Okay.
other thing is employment. It used to be you had to be on the 2 years on the job and what have you. It depends on the financial institution. They still may require that. But what has not changed is that that person has to have full-time employment. I ran into a client a few years ago until they didn't even realize that they weren't full-time. They had been working 2 years at Stellantis and they were part-time status. It's not that they weren't working full-time hours.
They were
It
just
just wasn't,
classified as part time.
it just didn't have that status. So I
Wow.
told them, go to your employer or your human resource department and get
Hmm.
that changed. It was as quick as them just flicking a button.
Wow.
Okay. And then they were eligible for a home.
Isn't that something? People
But
just
if
don't
if
know.
if your status is not known or you don't know your status, say it that way, go to your human resource department and find out if it's full time because a lot of people start off part time
Hmm.
and they never realized that it hadn't changed over.
Yeah, they're just working.
They just working. They just
They're just working.
paying the bills.
Uh huh.
Okay, and that and ain't nothing wrong with that one. That was the good thing.
That's a good thing. Yeah.
Okay. So the other thing is you must attend a home buyer ed class,
Hmm.
which you're going to find out about budgeting, credit, getting a mortgage, getting down payment assistance, shopping for a home, making an offer on a home, closing on a home.
Okay. Do
And
they?
that's really important that you have a year certificate and be cognizant of the date if you have not purchased a home within that year time frame.
So if you don't purchase a home within that year's time frame, you have to go back and do it again.
No, it's a possibility that they may extend that date because you did take the class and what have you. You were present, but at the same time, your thing lapsed probably because you didn't find a home of your choosing.
Okay. Hmm. And as a part of that um, homeowners training
Hmm.
overview, do they have a section that teaches people who have never owned a home, never lived in a home other than their parents,
Hmm.
how to take care of that home? That, okay, you need a lawnmower and you need a water hose and you need to wash windows and paint, cut the grass, cut the weeds, it and be a good neighbor, not don't, making lots of noise and disrupting. And is that a part of the homeowners training?
Unfortunately, is not to the extent that we would want it to be. We
Can I come and do that part?
Oh, absolutely, but
It's
for
just
the most part, those components are glossed over.
yeah, but they're so
And
important.
those are some of the most important parts, and that's why I
Yes.
always say that home ownership doesn't end when you buy a home.
Hmm.
It's just beginning because you have to maintain that home. You have to
Yes.
look at that home as an asset to the community as well.
Yes.
And if you haven't cut the grass and kept the house up in good order and what have you, and
Hmm.
your neighbor is not keeping theirs up, I mean, it has a great deal to do with the value of your home.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
The
So,
value of
and the
your
value of your
whole lot.
community.
Yeah, exactly. Your whole community. And if you are not being a good neighbor in terms of loud music and noise and people coming over at all hours of the night and parking their cars in front of your neighbor's driveway and I mean, it's doing all those kinds of things, and I say that because I really believe some people don't understand that that's a part of being a responsible homeowner
Absolutely, absolutely.
because they've never
For,
done it.
Yeah,
And
for a long time, I was first vice
you go
president of the.
ahead.
For a long time, I was first vice president of the 12th precinct police community relations. And one of the things that was really disappointing was the fact that we, as younger people, didn't get more involved in our respective organizations, our
Mhm.
neighborhood associations, and block clubs. For whatever reason, we haven't taken the time
Yeah.
to help those individuals that have been there for years. In most cases, they're in their 70s and 80s.
Yes.
But at the same time, we don't find the desire or the need to contribute to our community, whether it be passing out flyers in the neighborhood, passing out newsletters, getting newsletters done, creating a social media page, whatever the case may be, just to keep us abreast of all
Mhm.
the activities and events that are going on in our respective communities, as well as just knowing about code enforcement, what it
Yes.
takes to keep up your property and maintaining the property and securing the property. All those things have to be addressed at
Yeah.
some point in time. And the older individuals can't afford to walk door to door like we can as young people and keep everyone updated. So
Absolutely.
that's a necessity.
It's absolutely is, and to know that you just can't park your car in front of somebody's house and just leave it there. Car
Exactly.
hasn't run for
Exactly.
6 months and you just
Exactly.
leave it there. You can't do that.
And attach yourself to the community relations, the citywide police community relations.
Mhm.
It's at every precinct in the city of Detroit, of which there are 13, and you can go up there and find out when the community meeting is occurring, because in most cases you're going to find that there's anywhere from 30 to or more community associations, neighborhood block clubs, and what
Yep,
have you that meet there on a monthly basis. And
yep,
you can find out a wealth of information from not only the communities, but the police themselves.
absolutely, and they are so willing and they want to help out. So you let them help.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
And your
And
neighborhood city halls is the same thing.
yeah,
People need to know about the neighborhood city halls and what their roles are and
the-
how they can help you.
well, in the city of Detroit, you have to know about who's your district manager, who's your
Yeah.
deputy district manager,
Mhm.
who's your commercial retail district manager. Know these individuals, because when something goes wrong, or uh, more importantly, when something goes right, let them know. Let them know ahead of time, and let them know that they're doing a good job addressing the situations in your respective neighborhood.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I've got a caller that says, you can't dictate where someone parks their cars. No, you cannot dictate where they park their cars. You're absolutely right. But what you can dictate is how long they leave that car there if it is not running. You
Not
cannot
only that,
leave your
you
car
can
on a
dictate
public
the
street
placement of it
and it
as
is not
well.
running.
You
You
can,
cannot do that.
yeah, you can also dictate the placement of it as well. Is it in the driveway, or is it on the street, and what have you? And like you stated, how long has it been there?
Mhm.
Because it's a nuisance to the neighborhood. Also,
Absolutely.
your Corville may be in the same situation. You kept it out there too long, and what have you. It's a nuisance to the area. Plus, it stops traffic flow.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So
But I do want the guest who just called in to know that you can dictate how long that car is parked in front of your house or your neighbor's house or on your street. Because if it is not running and that car has not moved in a certain amount of time, you can contact the police department or your neighborhood city hall, and they
absolutely.
will come
Or
out
the
and
district
either
manager
tow it
or deputy
or
district manager.
tow it. So you can dictate how long it stays there. Yes.
Yeah, and I've called. I mean, in my neighborhood, both situations have happened within 2 weeks of each other,
Oh, wow.
and it, at night there's no cars on the street in my block.
Okay.
So when we see something that's out there where there's a car on the
You
street,
know something's
we
going on.
know that they're a visitor.
Uh-huh.
Okay,
Mhm.
and how long have they been there?
Mhm.
Whose house it belonged to?
Yeah.
Whatever the case may be. Okay,
And it's important, you know what's going
It is.
on your block.
I mean, a nosy neighbor is a good neighbor to a
A good
certain extent.
thing. It's a good thing. I tell
Yeah, just
everybody,
don't get too nosy.
that's right. Our neighbor was Miss Mitchell.
Okay,
Miss Mitchell was set in her front window and her front door, and she knew everybody that went up and down
exactly.
the street and everything that went on the street. And
Uh,
we need a lot of Miss Mitchells these days.
exactly. And I won't tell mine because she might be watching.
But we need people like that. Not
Exactly.
not just about cars. It's about safety of our children and our community. Because Miss Mitchell knew all the kids and their parents. And if
Absolutely.
something went on, Miss Mitchell had told your
Yeah,
parents before you got home. And the
exactly.
children were real crazy about that, but it was okay because we
Yeah,
all grew up to be okay because of
absolutely.
people like Miss
Did
Mitchell.
they go to school? School
There it
out
is.
today or something?
Uh-huh. Exactly.
Shoot.
And I thought they weren't supposed to have any company when you weren't home.
Exactly. Lord have mercy.
So this Miss Mitchell
You just
told
at
us
one
all,
time, no.
but we need a whole lot more Miss Mitchells nowadays
Absolutely,
than
absolutely.
we had before. And unfortunately, people are frightened of some of these young people because of some of the things they're doing, and that's sad.
Very much so. Very
That's
much
very,
so. I
very sad.
mean, you mentioned the occurrence over the weekend and what have you.
Yes.
You couldn't have told me those individuals that the reporter spoke to afterwards had ever seen anything like that.
Yes.
I mean, this was an anomaly in their neighborhood in the sense
Exactly.
that these things don't happen in their neighborhood, just
Mhm.
like it doesn't happen in supposedly the other communities.
Sure. Sure.
But we know things happen at
They
random,
happen.
and in most cases, they're associated with a family member or friend or whatever the case may be, or a person that just had just a random occurrence
Mhm.
where unfortunately something dangerous happened, and
Yeah,
they
it's very
were,
sad. But
yeah,
these pop-up parties that they've been talking about. When
yeah.
I was going home on the 4th of July, I'd spent the day at Alicia's house. And
Hmm.
so I'm going down Joy Road,
Hmm.
just past Wyoming. And I get 2 blocks down and I see this. I mean,
Hmm.
all of a sudden, there are all these cars, and there's a parking lot, there's a church, and there's a parking lot, and there's a parking lot behind a grocery store
Hmm.
full of cars. And then the
Yeah,
streets were beginning to fill up, and people hop out, hanging out of the
right,
windows and on the hoods. And I'm thinking,
right,
what in the world? But I guess
exactly.
that's what these pop up parties are.
And,
And
and
people
and it wasn't a Wednesday Bible study.
no, no. But I guess that's what the pop up parties are. But it was just such a surprise to me. I had never seen that in that area.
I
Down
still
on
haven't.
the street from
I
Barnum
saw what they
Elementary
had
School.
filmed, but I had never seen anything like that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
never.
yeah,
So we need to really work hard on that.
yeah.
And we started off talking about what people need to do to buy their first home, and I interrupted you and started
Not a
talking about
problem.
everything else. So
I mean, you got
you
to
go
keep in mind that all of this is a component of keeping your neighborhood up,
ahead. Uh-huh.
and thus your values up.
Mhm.
Uh,
Mhm.
the reason why most people have left Detroit can be put in possibly three categories: crime, insurance, or schools.
Yes.
Now, if we address those issues, our communities would have been stabilized. We would have still had more housing, but at the same time, homes that were up to code enforcement or building codes to the point where it created a stability within our community. It made our
Uh-huh.
communities viable. And these areas around our communities, these commercial retail districts where you have buildings falling apart or whatever the case may be, or vacant or not used for the purpose or the good that it was meant to be, those things have to change.
Absolutely,
Those
absolutely.
things
Let
have
me
to
add
change
another
because
reason that people left our communities.
absolutely.
When the police and fire and city employees were allowed to live outside of the city.
You're right. That was a
That
component,
was
but
a
at the same
major
time,
component of what happened in our communities.
yeah.
Because when you had police officers and firemen and other employees of the city living in those communities, we didn't have a lot of this.
And you also have to look at it this way. Um, when I look at the commercial retail districts around the city of Detroit, obviously there are seven predominant ones:
Hmm.
Avenue of Fashion, Grand River, Southfield, Warren Connor, a few more. But at the same time, once you get outside those retail districts and what have you,
There's
you
nothing.
have a lot of blighted out buildings,
Yes.
abandoned buildings, vacant buildings, however you want to say. My thought is, why do you have to go 5, 10, 20 miles outside the city to find some groceries or some draws?
Hmm.
Why can't that be within walking distance like they want us to walk up and down these commercial retail districts? Why can't that be accessible for a kid going to the store and everything, saying, listen, I got to get some food from the store and it's not be perished? Uh,
Yes.
the perishables being of good quality, the fruits, the meats, or
Hmm.
whatever the case may be. We have an immense amount of food deserts in our community. Uh, to me, I can't fathom this, but how many decades have some of these communities lacked a grocery store? Why do you have to go to public transportation to go 5, 10, 20 miles outside the city when it should be within walking distance? And by walking distance, I mean within a mile of your home.
Oh, makes sense. Makes
It,
sense.
it's to me, and I hate to be frank, but I'm going to be frank. That's that's an issue that the city has to address,
Oh, absolutely. No question.
failed to address, and I mean failed miserably.
Yes, no question.
Because if you want to improve upon the population of your city, then
You
you
need to
give
provide
them
the
what they
services
need.
that they need.
You give
Absolutely.
them what they need.
Hmm.
Okay.
Hmm.
And if you're not addressing that, you get an F from me.
Absolutely. We just had someone ask us a question, and we'll have to try and get someone on from the police department to answer that. And that is that in certain areas, people are allowed to burn rubber and do wheelies and so on in the streets. And I don't know the answer to that. I don't
Mhm.
think they're allowing it. I think it's being done, but I
I
think it's
think,
being
I
done
think,
illegally.
yeah, I think not only do they need to be fined,
They
but
need to have the vehicles taken.
their cars need to be confiscated.
Yes, yes.
Okay, because what good is it serving?
Hmm.
You're
Other
you're
than to
causing
disturb the
disarray
community.
in the community,
Mhm.
and you're probably not even living in that community.
Yes, that's the issue. That's the other issue. I know Wayne County has put in place an ordinance that allows the prosecutor to impound those vehicles when they are found guilty of doing that. Um, I don't know that the city is saying that it's okay. The police department is saying it's okay. I just don't believe they're saying it's okay. I think it's happening, but I don't believe that there are designated areas where they are allowing that to happen. But I will find out.
Yeah, yeah,
I will find out.
yeah.
I will find out. We're going to have a quick break,
Okay,
and then we're going to come back.
okay, definitely. Looking forward to it.
Uh-huh.
I was following the process of applying and I was getting rejection letters. That was kind of disheartening, but I just continued to push through. Usually when I got to that question of, have you ever been convicted of a felony? Sometimes I would check yes and provide supporting documentation. I tried to do the expungement process on my own. I felt like I was being sent on a wild goose chase. Ultimately, I finished the process, but as a result of me having more than one felony at the time, I was rejected and I couldn't apply again for like 36 months. So after that time had passed, I heard about Project Clean Slate. As a result of Project Clean Slate, I've been able to advance my career. It was a seamless process. I want to say like 8 or 9 months in total. Initially, I submitted the online application. Soon after that, I was contacted for fingerprinting. After fingerprinting, I had my hearing with the judge and the prosecuting attorney. After that, I was notified that my record was sealed and I was no longer a convicted felon.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. And that was a Project Clean Slate. For those of you who don't know about Project Clean Slate, it is one of the best things I think the city has done is allows those people who made a mistake, and many of us make mistakes when we're young. We just do. Many of us make mistakes when we're old. However, for these young folks that have made mistakes and are coming home from prison, uh, they need a second chance. They need a second chance. And Project Clean Slate allows them to do that. And we're just happy that the city has put that in place that will help and has helped many young people get their lives back together, get jobs, be able to take care of their families. And so we do appreciate the city for being able to do that. It's really, really important, really important. Now, I want to go back to something you said, Ken, about the grocery stores.
Mm-hmm. But before you go there, can I say something real quick?
Sure.
When I started Community Resource Forum in 2010, one of the programs that was out there at the time was, I can't think of the exact term, but there was a gentleman in Wayne County that was over in expungements.
Mm-hmm.
And he used to bring those to my forum all the time. And we helped a number of individuals get their lives back on track. And I can't think of his name. It was a STEP program or something like that. And I can't think of his name, but at the same time, he was extremely helpful. And that's what started the snowball to rolling down the hill, was because he and his staff were very instrumental in helping individuals get their lives back on track and getting their records expunged.
And that really is important. I think until you've experienced something like that, you don't know how important it is. And so we're just appreciative of the city being able to do that and helping those individuals be able to do that. But I wanted the grocery store piece that we just talked about. I get somebody who asked the question, that sounds good, but if you were a business person, where would you put a grocery store in Detroit?
Anywhere where there's a need. Okay, keep in mind that I look at the city of Detroit, I think it's 138, 39 square miles. If you look around the perimeter of the city of Detroit, within that 2-mile perimeter, say 6 to 8 mile, Southfield to Telegraph or 5 Points, Warren to Paul, or whatever the case may be, the river, Jefferson, all the way down, whatever the case may be. If you look at those areas, that's where most of those commercial retail stores are that have goods and services that we need. They're basically on the outskirts of the city, near the suburbs, within a 2-mile radius of the suburbs. And that's where, unfortunately, that's where we've migrated to, as far as where we live and become homeowners, as opposed to the center focus of the city, where it's mostly rental.
Let me play devil's advocate.
That has to change.
I don't want to play devil's advocate, angel's advocate. I'm a business person, and I want to open a retail establishment. And my brothers and sisters are coming in, stealing me blind. What happens? How do we counteract that? It's a culture that says I can steal it because you got it. That's why Rite Aid has closed many of their stores, and many of these other stores have closed because people are just openly coming in stealing. How do we help people? And it's almost like a culture. How do we help people know that that is not the right thing to do? And there is another way to get the items you need without stealing them and putting me out of business as a business person.
Well, I want to say it like this. Um, I look at it differently in the sense that what is the deterrent for me not to do it?
Exactly. And I do it and nobody says anything to me. They
Okay,
slap me
what
on the
is the
wrist
deterrent?
and nothing happens. And I'll go do it again since y'all didn't say anything to me
I
that
don't look,
time.
I don't look about the environment, the culture, whatever the case may be. What is the deterrent?
Exactly.
And if you know that it's happening, why isn't someone policing that area?
I agree. I
Okay,
agree.
why isn't someone addressing that situation? And I see the tide changing as it relates to that.
hmm
And keep in mind that when we pay taxes, if you pay taxes, if property taxes specifically, if you're paying taxes and what have you, and you living in a neighborhood and those individuals are not being addressed, then you need to get them to
I
get
agree. I
somebody to address them.
And let me just throw one thing out.
And that's why I said home ownership does not begin with the purchase of a home.
That's right. That's right. It's a whole community issue. It's a community issue. But 25, 30, oh boy, 30 years ago now, that's scary. As a county commissioner, we had something called, oh, what was it called? It, what happened is that if you committed some of those minor offenses, part of your penalty or for doing that was you had to go out and clean up the streets. So you saw them along the freeways and along the streets. Part of that was that was part of your penalty. You had to go clean up. And I think it helped. So I would
Absolutely.
love to see us go back to something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I look at the title of your show,
hmm
and it says Community Bell. And I know it's assimilated to your name, but at the same time, the bell has to be rung.
I thank you. I
The
agree.
bell has to be rung,
You
and
need to ring the bell. Say, okay,
hopefully,
stop.
by today we're ringing the bell that
Mhm.
you got to get involved in your community, people.
Yes. Yes.
If that's where you live, if that's where you work, that's where you worship, that's where you pray. I mean, shop,
All of
whatever
that.
the case may be.
You need to be involved.
You need to get involved. You
hmm
need to get engaged.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
engaged, meaning that
Exactly.
you got to put your hand in something.
Exactly. I agree.
Okay,
I
I
agree.
mean, shake some hands, know your neighbors,
All that
uh,
stuff.
all that,
Now you know
uh,
what?
and patronize the businesses
The
around you,
businesses in your
and
area.
be
That's it. You
kicked
patronize those
off
businesses.
when they don't address the goods and services that are needed
Mhm.
in your
And
community.
you know what? You got away without talking about a firm today. The show is almost over. And
Okay,
and you good, you
well,
good,
let me talk a little more.
you good, you good.
Uh,
You got a way, you figured a way to get out without talking about, but there
I'm
will
just talking
always
about
be a,
home
there will
ownership
always be a
today and
second
everything. I
Monday in
want to make
August.
sure that people know about this down
There,
payment
there
assistance.
will be a second Monday in August. And we will have you talk about
Not a
that.
problem. Not a problem.
You
But
got 30
but
seconds to tell me what's coming up.
all right, down payment assistance,
Uh-huh.
City of Detroit, for those individuals that want to be the first home buyer, home owner in their family, not renting, not generational renting, but owning a piece of the pie. This is your opportunity because it can be utilized to buy down your interest rate as well as your principal of your home, the amount that you're paying for the home. Uh, it is so important to stabilize these communities by just reaching out. My phone number's on the portal. Please give me a call if you want to be a homeowner. If you paid your bills on time, if you've rented for entirely too long, for entirely too much, please give me a call because we want to help you transition from being a renter to a home owner
And a contributor to your community.
and a contributor to your
There you
community.
go. Thank
Okay.
you, Ken Scott.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you as always. You got off the hook with the fur.
Woo.
You won't get off next month.
Woo.
And thank you, everyone, for tuning into the Community Bell Show. We are so happy that you join us on the first Monday of every month at 4:00, or every week. The Monday of every week at 4:00. Join us again. We'll see you next Monday. Community Bell Show. Be there.
Have a great one.
Thank you for listening to Community Bell with your host, former Wayne County Commissioner Edna Bell. This broadcast was brought to you by WVTC Radio Detroit. You can find us on Facebook, YouTube, our website, www.wvtcradio.com, or download our WVTC app from the Play Store for Android users and the App Store for iPhone users. If you've enjoyed this broadcast, tell a friend to tune in. We'll see you next Monday at 4 p.m. Eastern to the Community Bell Show, right here on WVTC Radio Detroit.
Hi, I'm Edna Bell. Please watch me on WVTC Radio Detroit at 4:00 every Monday. WVTC Detroit is your place to be. Edna Bell, the Community Bell Show. I'm your host.
Go to your Apple or Google Play Store and download the WVTC Gospel Radio app today. You can also say, Alexa, play WVTC Radio Skills.
Would you like to play WVTC Radio Network?
Absolutely. Download it today.
You're listening to WVTC Gospel Radio Detroit, and we're flowing in the Spirit.